Never in doubt. Up 21-0. It was 21-10 at one point. And I told you to lay the points. Told you to lay it at halftime. Told you to lay the pregame. I hope you listened. 42-17. Ohio State's not messing around. They lost to Michigan. That was embarrassing. By the way, they're not making that rule a law about the flag planting. I don't know if you heard about the lawmaker who said he's going to start a law. You can't flag plant. You're going to get arrested. That bill is dead because people were like, this is Ohio. We're not soft, okay? Beat the team on the other side of the field, and that's what they did against Tennessee, 42-17. They're moving on to face Oregon. That's the real test.
I have a question. How can you plant the flag on field turf?
You can, but that's what Michigan tried to do.
It didn't make any sense.
But it didn't make any sense, but you know flag planting, that's the new thing that everybody wants to do. Ohio State plants its flag into the quarterfinals. They're going to face the Ducks. Quack, quack. CBS Sports HQ, built by the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Ohio State getting it done against Tennessee. Emory Hunt and Bryant McFadden here in studio. And Ohio State, B-Mac.
Wow.
I told you.
You did.
I told you. So they come out 21-0. Tennessee scores 10 points, but in the second half, Tennessee had a chance. They had the ball to start the second half. What does Ohio State do? First possession, Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, 2 touchdowns between those two guys.
Yeah, and what led to that second half surgence of points was the first possession out of halftime. Defensively for Ohio State, being able to force a 3-and-out.
Yep.
Getting Tennessee to punt the football in a very, very special moment in terms of what happened right before the second quarter ended, with the momentum kind of shifting in favor of Tennessee. Ohio State buckled down, was able to force Tennessee's offense to punt the football, and there lie the opportunity for Will Howard and his offensive mates to put more points on the scoreboard. This was a total, complete effort for Ohio State. And you guys, we talked about pregame, moments in terms of what we thought we would see. I said playoff football is about 2 things: getting off to a fast start and controlling the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Ohio State clearly got off to a fast start, 21-0 lead, and you look at how they control the line of scrimmage for basically the majority of that ball game was outstanding, which led to a dominating performance by the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I like the fact that we saw them do a great job in terms of turning the ball over and making sure Tennessee didn't have their passing game going. They shut down Nico Iamaleava, completely throwing the football, and those DBs of Ohio State really put the clamps on it. You made a great point, B-Mac. We talked about them at halftime and how they had the momentum Tennessee did, and Ohio State took that right away. Quick 3-and-out, got off the field, put the offense back out there, and they went down and scored. So Will Howard did a solid job today throwing the football, and I think that should have him have some confidence moving into that next week's matchup against Oregon.
Just a solid job. 5 incompletions, 311, 2 touchdowns, and an interception that was aggressive going into the red zone. Just solid?
That was good.
Okay.
It was good. It was, listen, when I say solid, I mean good. But good for him was...
I was hoping for excellent, remarkable. I believe in this quarterback to lead them to the national championship.
Well, I will say this, though. There were some throws in this game in the first half and in the second half. You're like, wow, that's a heck of a throw.
Right. That pass to Jeremiah Smith, the touchdown, that was a dime.
Even the one that was intercepted kind of was on the mark. He caught it. Yep. He just couldn't. He got hit as he was catching the football. You want to see that moving forward, but you don't want to see the Will Howard making bonehead mistakes in terms of like situational football. We talked about that at halftime. You saw some of that in the second half, a little bit, but you want him to be able to play above the X's and O's, play the situation well, because if that's the case, we saw what this rematch looked like in the first meeting against Oregon, the back and forth affair. We can get that again in the Rose Bowl.
The defense also standing strong, too. 4 sacks, bringing pressure. Cracked Nico Iamaleava's helmet in the first half.
It was cold.
Big Ten football.
I know it was, and the defense was cold.
Yeah.
Like, they were getting it done. B-Mac, I know you love to see this defense flying around because this is a defense that can win you a national championship, allowing 11 points per game, best in FBS. They give up a late touchdown to the Vols here, but 17 in a game, in a playoff game, that's pretty darn good.
And for their starters, they only surrendered 10 points.
Yeah.
Remember that last touchdown came with some of the backups
the 3s and 4s
for the Buckeyes. But, yeah, this is a defense, when you look at all 3 levels, they have pro prospects on all 3 levels of their defense. And the thing I love with them in tonight's matchup, guys, they were able to put pressure on Nico with rushing only 4 guys. We saw a few blitzes here or or there, but the majority of their pressures came from 4 guys winning their one-on-one matchups. You look at the guys in the secondary, to your point, Emory, very, very tight, consistent coverage for 4 quarters. They're playing some really, really good football. And I'll say this, and I know Buckeye fans might not want to hear this from me, but I'm keeping it real with you. Losing to Michigan probably was a blessing in disguise, because what happened when you lost to that bad Michigan team, everyone talked about how much of a letdown that was. Everyone talked about how disappointing it was for you to go to have Michigan come into your place and lose to a bad Michigan team, an offense that basically only had 10 players because the quarterback wasn't there because they couldn't throw the football. And you lost to that team. Everyone said how your coach should get fired. Everyone said how you're overrated. All these high-priced NIL players are not living up to the building. Guess what it did? It motivated you. It brought forth the sense of urgency that we saw in tonight's matchup that made you play one of the more dominating games from what we've seen the entire season. And that's why I say it was a blessing in disguise.
All right.
Because you didn't get a chance to rave and read about how good you were against Michigan. You didn't. You read everything was a total opposite. And sometimes it takes get slapped in the face to realize that I should be swinging back and I shouldn't wait to get punched first. Guess what? You didn't wait to get punched first. You punched first and you punched last, and now you're punching your ticket to the Rose Bowl.
And Emory, this is similar to the Notre Dame situation, right?
Bingo.
Losing to Northern Illinois, the embarrassment of that. You saw Riley Leonard take it upon himself, goes into Marcus Freeman's office, and what does Marcus Freeman say? Be thankful for that. You're preaching the same thing Marcus Freeman's saying, because he said, and Riley was like, why am I going to be thankful for that? Because it's going to harden you. You are going to absorb this, and it is going to inspire you, and perhaps this is what the Buckeyes needed losing to Michigan.
Well, I will say this. Shout out to Ryan Day, because he had all the pressure on him in this ball game. And the reason why Ohio State was able to win this game in the way they did, in the fashion they did, man, that defense was assignment sound. We didn't see no big plays from Tennessee. The run game, non-existent. I felt like even if Dylan Sampson was out there, Ohio State it wasn't going to happen. There was assignment sound. There were gap discipline. They didn't give up any big plays in the run game. They made Nico Iamaleava work for every yard he got. He completed 3.4 yards of pass attempt. You saw the defense was locked down. The secondary was locked down. The run game was on point. Even on the offensive side, how those linemen were out on the move, clearing out space for the running game. Trayvon Henderson doing everything he could to be a feature back. Talk about pass pro, catching the football, making great runs, playing above the X's and O's, as I like to say, bouncing off defenders. So he did a lot of great things. Everybody for Ohio State, sans the special teams, that they missed that field goal. It was a long one to go into halftime. But outside of that, this was essentially a clean game for the Buckeyes. They looked well prepared. They looked like a $20 million roster.
What if I told you that Ohio State right now currently looks like Texas? 2 great running backs. Jaden Blue, Quintravion Wisner, Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins. Quinn Ewers, questionable time making throws. Will Howard, questionable making throws. 2 very good defenses. 2 coaches trying to make a name for themselves. What do you think of that comp? That those are similar. Those are similar squads.
Yeah, very, very much so. Speed everywhere as well at receiver. 2 game breakers in that regard.
Well, the thing I would say in terms of that comparison, I favor Ohio State's defense more so than Texas defense. And the reason why is because they got some guys that can put pressure, can win one-on-one matchups in terms of beating offensive linemen. Now, Texas, when you look at Texas, what we saw today, we've seen that. But then also, what about some of the other moments in Texas season that you're like, wow, what are they doing? You know what I mean? Barely beating Vandy. You know what I mean? So you look at Texas, I still have my concerns about Texas, honestly. I think there's less concerns for me in terms of Ohio State because you talked about the running backs. Remember, before tonight's matchup against Clemson, we haven't seen that type of running back production.
Right.
We know what Henderson and Judkins can do. Right. We know they can go. And matter of fact, actually, in my opinion, Ohio State's RB2 is actually the RB1. And Trayvon Henderson, he's like the guy, right? But he has the unfortunate luxury of sitting behind and, being a rotational back. But outside of what we saw from Texas, we haven't really seen that type of production. So which backfield do you trust more? Ohio State's. Which wide receiver group do you trust more? Ohio State, right? And then in terms of the entire defense from top to bottom, I would trust Ohio State's defense as well because you talked about how many points they allowed this season?
They were averaging 11 points per game, best in FBS. Ohio State.
Number 1.
Yeah, number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they allowed 17 in that last touchdown.
No. Put that last one on the backups.
It's still the teams, the backups, but I'm just, it's the 2s and 3s, but they're still playing football as well. Time now for the Doers playbook built by the Home Depot, how Doers get more done, breaking down how a team's game plan leads to their success. B-Mac, what was critical to the victory in this one for Ohio State?
The fast start. Playoff football, getting off to a fast start, either home or on the road, is very, very important in overall success in winning ball games. You talked about what was working for Ohio State. Sense of urgency. First quarter, let's come out slinging, running the football well, playing tight defense, allowed you to get a 21-point lead. And yes, Tennessee fought back a little bit, but that lead was too much for Tennessee. So that's what I'm talking about as far as pinpointing how Doers get things done. Don't wait around when you know you got to go get something done. Get on it. Do not play around. Do not play with your food. They did not play with their food today, and because of that, they're going to sleep feeling really, really full.
Never wait to do today what you can do tomorrow, or do tomorrow what you do today, right? And Ohio State, I thought the run defense was what they got done today. They came out and just shut down the run game of Tennessee all week long, myself included. Talked about Tennessee having a chance in this ball game because they can run the football. They'll spread you out to run the football. Ohio State not only stopped the run at the line of scrimmage, they reset the line of scrimmage. So it was very tough sledding for any back that was out there for Tennessee. So because they really stuck true to what the foundation of football is, run game and stopping the run, winning the point of attack, they won the point of attack from the start, and that carried them throughout the game. That's how they got this done tonight.
That's how Doers get more done. The Home Depot doing it for us here on CBS Sports HQ. And how about Ohio State? All-time in the college football playoff, now 2-3 in CFP games. Under Ryan Day, they won it all back in 2014, the first year of the college football playoff. Who did they beat? Oregon. They face Oregon in the next round in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. And coming up, it's Bucks and Ducks, a regular season rematch. Ohio State against Oregon for a spot in the semifinals as the Buckeyes look to avenge their 1-point loss to the Ducks. We'll set the stage for the Rose Bowl next on CBS Sports HQ, presented by the Home Depot.